All right, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside Hartford, Connecticut, and this is going to be our recap of the recent MLB week. Yes, I am a day late. I do apologize for that. It's not often that my dad and I both have the same day off, so we did some stuff around the house, and after that, I ended up talking to Patrick for a little bit, so he may or may not be doing a couple videos here and there for the channel. Just wanted to give you guys that real quick update. But yeah, so these standings are as of Monday, which was the 7th, September 7th. So these standings are going to be including one more game than normal. But we'll jump right in here. And like I said, I like to change it up. So today we'll start with the NL, and we'll start with the NL Central. So of course we have the Chicago Cubbies sitting in first place at 24 and 18. St. Louis is behind them at 17-16. Milwaukee's behind them at 18-21. Cincinnati, it's 18 and 23, and then Pittsburgh, the bottom feeder of the league right now, 13 and 26. All in all, here we are at the 2/3 mark of the season. This division, the NL Central, has been a real disappointment. Now, we knew that the Cardinals were going to struggle with the whole coronavirus thing. Playing a lot of doubleheaders, not having a lot of off days really starts to take a toll on a team, especially a team like the Cardinals that's full of veterans, especially considering players like Paul DeJong and Yadier Molina and even Austin Gomber all had coronavirus and had to miss time. That's never good for a team like St. Louis. So they're going to probably hang around 500 until really the last 2 weeks of the season are going to be the 2 weeks that make or break this team. So we have, I think, 3 or 4 more videos of this. So yeah, the Cubs though, the Cubs haven't been hot, but they haven't been cold. They're kind of hanging around this record here. They should win the NL Central just because there's no other real competition. Speaking of no other real competition, we have 2 real disappointments in the season in Milwaukee and Cincinnati. Milwaukee gave up a lot of its starting pitching this previous offseason, so they really invested in the offense, and the offense hasn't been doing that hot. Obviously, Yelich has rebounded from that ice-cold start that he had to start the season, but he's not everything. They need help from all around. It's not like just Christian Yelich, just the guy who can carry your team. He should be, but he's not the only player. In Cincinnati, they came in as World Series sleepers. A lot of people pegged them, myself included, as World Series champions. Definitely dark horse champions, and they've just really looked bad. They're playing in a weaker Central because, remember, essentially the NL and the AL Centrals are grouped together, and they failed to take advantage of it. Their starting pitching has not looked that good. Their offense hasn't been as good as it should be. So, in Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh, nobody really expected them to do much this year. They just need to hope that Josh Bell gets out of that funk that he's in. Then we have the AL Central here, and Chicago White Sox and the Cleveland team are tied in first place at 26 and 15. Put them in alphabetical order there. Minnesota is a game behind them technically at 26 and 17. Detroit's 18 and 21. Kansas City is 14 and 28. So Chicago, I don't think a lot of people saw Chicago doing this good this season. They're one of those young teams. We saw Detroit start off hot. We saw Baltimore start off hot. We saw a lot of these younger teams start off hot. Chicago kind of started off iffy, but they've really turned it on of late. Their offense is clicking. They've been hitting a lot of homers. That offense, led by veteran Jose Abreu. And of course, you have Luis Robert in the outfield making plays and just being an amazing player. And that's not even including the fact that, one of my favorite players in the league, second baseman Nick Madrigal's missed a chunk of the season after separating his shoulder. So that team, Eloy Jimenez, of course, this team is ready to go. They need the pitching staff to follow, but right now they're definitely holding on to a playoff spot. It's going to be a good team. This is definitely a team to watch in the playoffs. Cleveland, I was a little surprised when they gave up Clevenger, but it made sense at the same time. He pissed off a lot of people in that clubhouse. He burned a lot of bridges with the whole, he didn't get caught originally after sneaking off out of the bubble, and then he snuck onto the plane, so he really pissed off a lot of people. I'm sure Plesac did too, but I'm sure Plesac's more like, oh, he got caught, he admitted to it, and Clevenger should have manned up and said, oh, I went out too, but he didn't. So yeah, that was a big surprise, but other than that, Shane Bieber is really looking like the Cy Young winner this year. Love Shane Bieber. So the offense is starting to do a bit more, but the pitching isn't what it was a couple years back. We'll see what happens with Cleveland. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're going to. I think Chicago's going to pass them soon. Minnesota's been struggling of late. Detroit plays them really well for whatever reason, and that's not good for Minnesota. Minnesota needs to beat teams like Detroit if they really want to compete. Right now they are, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, right now they are hanging on to a playoff berth, but it's not as good as they'd want to be. Minnesota's offense has been a little bit of a disappointment, but the pitching staff's been doing decent. So we'll see what happens. They do have a potential Rookie of the Year candidate in their pitching staff. So we'll see what happens with Minnesota. Donaldson's not playing every day now. He's got that calf injury. We'll see. Detroit, like I said, they played Minnesota this past a couple times, and they play them pretty well. It's just how these teams are. When one team stinks and the other's good, usually the team that stinks plays the good team well. It's been like this for a while for whatever reason. Detroit's still a young, talented team. They really have a lot of other guys in their farm system that they're starting to give a lot of opportunities to. It makes sense too. I mean, you're not making the playoffs this year at this point in time. So good luck to Detroit. You guys probably will be good next year with the current core that you have. Kansas City, I was expecting them to be bad, but I didn't see them at a 3.33 win percentage at this point in the season. So, Kansas City, that offense is there. The pitching is not. You have good pieces in offense, but Adalberto Mondesi's really been struggling of late. Yeah, he's got some stolen bases, but he's been thrown out a lot. It's really questioning if he has an injury or not. Mondesi's definitely the biggest red flag for Kansas City, though. Now we go to the NL East, and this is one I'm happy to talk about. So Atlanta sits in first at 24-17. Philly's right behind them at 20-17. Miami's a game and a half behind them at 18-18. The New York Mets are 19-23, and the Washington Nationals are 15-25. So we all knew Atlanta was going to win this division. I just didn't think they'd be running away with it like this over Washington. But Atlanta's really good. Atlanta's pitching staff leaves some questions, especially with the fact that, their ace went down right in the beginning of the season after only a couple of starts. Never good. But the team has rebounded, especially with the fact that Acuna's missed about 2-3 weeks of the season with two different injuries, or with the same injury, but injured list, comes back, re-aggravates it. Atlanta's looking good. Atlanta needs to prove itself this year, and they are doing that. They just really should stock up on some pitchers for next year. But who knows what's going to happen with Atlanta. I mean, we don't know with Markakis. We don't know what's going on, but Austin Riley's looking decent, so that's always good. Philadelphia has been one of the hottest teams in the league as of late. Yeah, they only won 2 of 4 against the Mets this past weekend series, but it is that's how it works. You can't win every game, and before that, they had won 10 of their past 11. So Philadelphia is looking really good. They're playing hot. Hopefully, they have a good series against Atlanta coming up, because that's going to be the real breaker. Miami, after that red hot start, we knew they were bound for regression, but the fact that they're hanging at 500 at this point really shows a lot. This team is really showing that it's ready to play. We all knew Miami was a good team. I just didn't see them playing this good and this year. I knew that they were going to be competitive, but I thought they'd be hanging around 4th place in the NL East. But, here they are in 3rd place playing 500. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they would be a playoff team. So Miami's a team that scares a lot of people. They're sneaky underrated. The Mets are better than their record. They've had a lot of tough luck losses. Actually, believe it or not, they do have a 0 ± run differential. Part of that's because they shelled the Phillies on Sunday. I think it was like 11-1 or something like that. But they are a better team than their record indicates. Again, I keep taking shots at Pete Alonso. He's a little better than I thought he was every time I take a shot at him. But Washington, again, similar to Milwaukee and Cincinnati, one of the biggest disappointments in the league. The offense just isn't there for whatever reason. Trey Turner is kicking butt, taking names. He's just completely dominant. But then it's just everything's messed up. Trey Turner's looking like a legitimate NL MVP candidate, and nobody else on that offense is doing anything. Then we get to the AL East, and nobody is shedding a tear for the Yankees. I'm going to tell you that right now. Tampa Bay sits in first at 28-14. Toronto is right behind them, surprisingly, at 23 and 18. Yankees sit right above 500, 21 and 20. Baltimore, 19 and 21. Boston, 14 and 28. Nobody shedding a tear for the Yankees or the Red Sox. I will tell you that right now. Here we are. Everyone in the state of Connecticut that is not a Yankees or a Red Sox fan is very happy with this season. You know, my dad's a Tigers fan. I'm a Phillies fan. And I'm talking to him. He goes, it's always great to see Boston struggle. I said, the Yankees are struggling to hang around 500 right now. He said, that's amazing. So it goes to show you, we do not like these teams because fan bases are toxic around here. We all know Yankees fans are toxic, but don't forget, Red Sox fans are toxic too. So Tampa Bay, very good team, very underrated team year after year after year. They're finally looking good. Hunter Renfroe, I said that I was very skeptical about that trade right at the get-go, but he's really looked bad, especially for the fact that they gave up some good player for him. It just goes to show you, Tampa Bay could probably be a 30 and 12 team if they didn't have Renfroe right now. Toronto, the fact that they lost Bo Bichette and they're streaking, it goes to show you, Philadelphia and Toronto are two of the hottest teams in baseball right now, along with one team in the AL West that we'll get to shortly. So don't sleep on Toronto. Yankees, no one cares. Injuries, go ahead, cry me a river, Yankees fans. Baltimore's doing good, especially for the talent that they have. They gave up players at the trade deadline, which isn't surprising. Jonathan Villar, they gave up on him before, actually. I don't know why I thought of him. They gave up on some of their players. It makes sense. They're not going to make a run in the playoffs. They know even if they make the playoffs, it's a fluke. Boston, no one cares. No one's shedding a tear for you. That isn't in Boston. Boston, though, is the bigger disappointment between them and the Yankees because they've been healthy. Hold the fact that Sale needed Tommy John. But I don't think a healthy Chris Sale for this season, even a Cy Young Chris Sale, is going to turn this season much, around. You're probably talking about an 18 and 24 team if Chris Sale is 100% healthy pitching the Cy Young season. So, we'll get to the NL West. And the Dodgers, man, oh man, 30 and 12, sitting pretty in first place. Best record in the league. San Diego, surprisingly hanging around them, 26 and 17. San Francisco at 21 all. Colorado, a half game behind them at 20 and 21. And Arizona, taking up the rear, 15 and 27. Dodgers, we knew they were good. We knew they were the best team in the NL West, and they're proving it time and time again. They're kicking butt. Yeah, they're on a 2-game skid right now, but they're just ready to play. That offense is electric. The pitching staff is looking really good. The Dodgers are definite World Series frontrunners at this point in time. San Diego is another hot team. Now, they made a lot of moves at the trade deadline, and obviously they revamped the whole catching position. They got some new pitchers. It's just San Diego's ready to play. They think this is their year, and what a year for them. I knew they were good. We all knew they were good, but I didn't think they'd be making the playoffs. Granted, nobody saw an expanded playoffs this year, but San Diego, man, Tatis is looking like a real NL MVP candidate as well as Trey Turner. Tatis definitely has the edge at this moment over Turner, but man, this is just a scary lineup. San Diego, LA, scary lineups. San Francisco, being a 500 ball club is better than I was expecting them to be. There's not too much to say about them. Colorado, I'd been saying it from the get-go. Colorado's going to regress. Here they are, right below 500. Colorado's a decent team, but in Arizona, they went through a fire sale. At this point in time, they're competing with the Nationals, the Pirates, the Kansas City Royals, Boston, and Texas, and even LA for the bottom pick, LA Angels for the bottom pick. I don't blame them for doing what they did. The team's not in a good position, though. Arizona, it makes sense to give up on Robbie Ray, but you probably could have gotten a comp pick for him. I think someone's willing to give him the $15 million. But last but not least, we have the AL West, and Oakland sits in first at 24-14. Houston's in second, 21-20. Seattle's 19-22. The Angels have been one of the hotter teams in baseball, 17-25, and Texas Rangers are 13-27. So the Angels, I believe, are on a 5-game winning streak right now. They've been ready. They've been producing, and we've really been disappointed in the Angels. we're finally seeing what the Angels can do when it's not just Mike Trout doing everything. So it's good to see the Angels doing good. Texas, again, disappointing season. We weren't expecting much from them, but I wasn't expecting them to be a bottom feeder like this. Seattle's doing better than most people expected. I was expecting them and Texas to flip-flop places. But this division, the whole AL West, is very unpredictable right off the bat because nobody knew what was going to happen with Houston. Houston coming off obviously the cheating scandal, and we've really seen it with some of their players. Jose Altuve has been one of the biggest disappointments in the season. It really goes to show you, was he the one truly benefiting from the sign scandal, or is he just psychologically impacted by it? We don't know. I guess we'll find out next year. It's a 60-game season. Players even like Altuve go into slumps. It is what it is. But Altuve just hasn't looked good. George Springer's really struggled to stay healthy. So we'll see with this team. Verlander, on the bright side, Verlander might be coming back. If they make the playoffs, they might have Justin Verlander back on the mound. So he's been thrown off the mound recently. That's always good for Houston. And, of course, first place team in that division, Oakland Athletics. Oakland, the team's finally producing. This is their year, they feel. Unfortunately for them, where they sit, they're going to be the 3 seed, which would match them against the 6th seed in the AL, which would be Houston. That would be a very interesting series, Houston versus Oakland. I would very much like to watch that series. Oakland's looking good, though. But all in all, these are the standings at this point in time. Again, a day late. I apologize for that. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day.